Hello there everybody, welcome back to the railway. Today you join me here on my workbench where I'm going to be reviewing a Dapol product I bet you didn't know existed. So today's model is this. This is the Dapol Stove R van. Now as you can see, this is not in your usual Dapol packaging, and that is for quite a good reason. As you can see, these were commissioned by Hornby magazine, produced by Dapol, and as you can also see, this is the Dapol old logo. So these are quite old. I believe this was around 2010 time, but I'm not too sure. So yeah, I've heard some interesting things about Dapol products from around that sort of time. A lot of good, a lot of bad as well. And I've been doing a bit of reading about these, and from what I've heard, these might have a few issues, but we'll see how they go. But I didn't just buy one of these. This is in the BR livery, I think. I didn't just buy one, I bought two. And this one is in the LMS livery, so there is a bit of a difference. But I bought these, they are brand new, they've never been out the box. I bought them for a very, very reasonable price, but you can pick these up around £35 to £40 each online, which is quite expensive, but I don't know what they're like. As I said, never had them out of the box, so today, come with me, we'll get these out and we can see whether or not they're worth that extortionate amount of money. So, let's show you the end of the box then. I'll show you the LMS one first, because this is probably my favourite. There it is, this is HM002, this is the LMS Stove R 32925, LMS line maroon with maroon ends. And there's a Hornby magazine website, which I think is now Key Publishing's website, or Key Model World's website. But you can see we've got this interesting packaging. I quite like it. It's got a nice glass. It's got a nice gloss finish, not a glass finish. That'd be a bit weird. On the front, as you can see, and it's got an image of the Stove R wrapped around it. If I show you the back of the box, there's a little bit of info on the prototypes in real life. So you can pause and read that if you want. I will be giving you a bit of history later. And other than that, there's nothing else to see on here, so we shall get this out. So, I should add, as I said before, I haven't had this out the box yet, so this will be my first time getting it out, and of course this has never been out the box before either. So, straight away, we are in a standard sort of block of ice. We have quite a heavy model in our hands, but we also have a detail pack, so I think I'll show you what's in here first. So as you can see, this has got what looks like a step board, and we've got a couple of detail and we have a couple of detailed screw link couplings. I'm not too sure, I don't know if you can see that, but we've got a couple of coach step boards as well. And when I'm not chucking it down across the room, we shall put it nicely down there, we shall get this out. As you can see, it does look quite good, to be honest. It's got a nice lining on it. But anyway, it is in this block of ice. It has never been out the block of ice. It's pretty weighty, I must say, but we shall get this out. So, nice, easy to undo. We have two bits of tissue on top of the model, and there it is. And as you can see, the finish on this doesn't look too bad. This looks really quite nice, to be honest. So, should we get this out? And yeah, actually, that is pretty heavy. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that heavy, but yes, there it is. Yeah, this is quite an interesting one, and straight away I can see this bogie design is going to probably cause a few problems, but certainly an interesting design. As you can see, we've got these sort of trucks at the end which rotate, and the centre axle slides. So yeah, I'm sure that will provide hours of fun. But aside from that, this looks like a pretty nicely detailed wagon, to be honest, or coach, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there's quite a lot of separately fitted detailing, and yeah, this looks pretty good. I will get this up onto the white background for you, of course, in a little while. But before we do that, we have another one to unbox, so I'll pop that down there. And we have this one here in the BR livery. There it is. So, if I show you the end of the box, this is HM003A, LMS Stove R 32926 in the BR Crimson. And as usual with the other one, there's a bit about the model on the back of the box, which you can pause and read if you want. But as I said, I'll give you a bit of a detailed explanation later. So as I said before, never had this out the box, so again, this one is brand new. Make sure I get this out. So yeah, this one still seems pretty heavy, and we have what looks to be the same detail pack there. So there you go. I think that is the same. So pop that down there. Yeah. So yeah, this looks like quite a nice livery. It's much more simple, this one. But yeah, it looks pretty good. The finish on this doesn't look too matte, but we shall get this out and we shall take a closer look. Right, the tissue paper is blown away. And here is the second one. And yeah, to be honest, these are really nice. I do like these a lot. They've got a real sense of quality about them, apart from that slightly janky bogie wheel arrangement, which we shall have a go messing around with later. These seem pretty good, I'll be honest with you. These look really nice. They look much better than some of the equivalent Hornby coaches. But yeah, we shall get this up onto the white background. I'll give you a bit of history first, and then we shall crack on and see how they perform on the layout later. So, let's go do that. So the LMS Stove R passenger brake was introduced in 1932 to the design of William Stanier. 120 vehicles were built at Wolverton Works by 1940, and they were designed by the LMS as 6-wheel brake vans which could have space for luggage, mails, parcels, and of course a guard's compartment. They had a small stove inside despite being completely open plan, which is why they're known as stove vans. They were used into the 1970s with BR, and several have been preserved. So here we are then, up on the white background, the Dapol Stove R. And as you can see, the level of detail here really isn't too bad. Sadly though, some details by the doors, such as these handles, these aren't separately fitted. They are separately painted, but in my opinion they do look quite flat, and separately fitted part would have been better here. As you can see, all the hinge detail around the doors here, this looks fantastic and has really good definition to it, nice and crisply moulded. However, this separately fitted guard ducket has too much gap around it, and in my opinion it doesn't look too straight either. This would have been better as a moulded part, even if the glazing wasn't particularly flush. Around the model is a plethora of separately printed details, such as these running numbers. These are nice, legible and really clear, and they don't have a horrible finish about them either. These are really nicely done, and in my opinion more manufacturers should take note of this and do it to a similar standard on theirs. On the underframe there is quite a bit of detailing, however in my opinion these axle boxes just look a bit too chunky and don't look that good if I'm honest. That said, there is plenty of sole bar detailing to get excited about too. At the ends of the models are these separately fitted step boards. These are really nicely finely moulded and they're not too flimsy either. Another good thing to note about these is the fact there is very little glue visible on the ends of the model where they're fitted. The end of the model, as you can see here, is one of the model's finest in my opinion. There's absolutely tons of separately fitted and riveting detail, as you can see all down the edge of these gangways, and in my opinion this equipment at the top just looks absolutely exquisite. It's really nicely finely moulded and there's no glue where it's been fitted. As I said before, Hornby take note, this really is the gold standard of manufacturing. Down on the buffer beam here there are a set of separately fitted metal sprung buffers, as you can see. Those look really quite good in my opinion, and they've got a nice satisfying spring. There's also a coupling hook pre-fitted. This doesn't come out very well on camera, but it is there and looks really good. There is also a kinematic coupling with an end pocket. However, although these look quite smooth, I have found that they do have a tendency to get stuck, so we shall see how many derailments that will cause later on. As you can see on the other side of the coach here, we do have a lot of underframe detailing. This is exactly the same as on the other side, really nicely moulded, even if parts of it are quite chunky. So here's just a brief look at the LMS version. As you can see, the detailing here is largely the same. We do have the same sort of chunky underframe detailing, which it does look quite good, even if parts of it are chunky, as I said, around the axle boxes. The main differences with this one though are obviously in the paint job. This has got the LMS lettering as opposed to BR lettering, and of course it does have the lining down the length of the model. This is very nicely done. There's not too much smudging, and of course it is very even. This is Dapol we're talking about. So yeah, it's quite a good model in my opinion. The detailing here is very nice. It's probably one of the most detailed coaches I've seen. So, how does it perform? A lot of manufacturers seem to prioritise form over function, but I'm not sure if Dapol is one of them. So let's get this up onto the layout and see how it performs. So here we are then, up on the layout with the Dapol Stove Rs. As you can see, I have the LMS one railed up here, and although that was quite a faff to do, they are very free rolling, as you can see. Not as free rolling as some wagons I have, such as my Hornby Conflat or whatever, but they're not too bad in my opinion. So yeah, let's get this BR one railed up and we can test their dodgy couplings, which, as I said before, they have quite dodgy kinematic couplings which have a tendency to get stuck. So we shall see how well those perform. But I thought I'd just mention how this system works. So you have, at each end of the model, you have a sort of bogie which pivots. Now these are really stiff, so I do have some concerns about whether or not these are going to go around corners alright. We do have a centre axle which slides from side to side. This is nice and free, so hopefully this won't cause too much grief. And of course the other one is the same. We do have kinematic couplings as well, but as you can see they just do have a tendency just to get stuck in position, which then performs an absolute nightmare. So yeah, we shall try and get these up onto the layout, and apologies if you get a nice shot at my nose at this point as I try and rail them up. but I say try and probably fail, well definitely fail really, to rail them up, but as you can see they are on now. What I have out of shot is some more wagons. So this end I have got a bit of a luggage train. I have got my Bachmann Ivet Class 4, because obviously it's from the LMS, and now the rest of the rolling stock is completely unrealistic. I mean, the Ivet 4 is pretty unrealistic because it was a 4F, not a 4P or a 4MT, but anyway, that's beyond the point. I have got a Southern GBL, because that's my Hornby Southern GBL, because that is a luggage van, and over here I have a Hornby hooks with full brake, because that is a sort of luggage van as well. So yeah, completely unrealistic, but you know, thought I'd put them together, sort of preservation train. So I'm currently backing the Ivet 4 up, and we shall see how well it performs. So let's reverse the whole lot up. Right, did they couple? Yes they did. So, that's quite promising, so we shall get this off around the layout then. So, let's go and we can see how they perform on curves. So there is the Ivet 4 going past, there's the GBL, and there are the two Stove Rs, which seem to be behaving themselves, to be honest, which is always a good thing. Here comes the Ivet 4. Yeah, they seem to be staying on the track, they haven't derailed yet, which is always promising. Sadly, the Ivet 4 seems to be on its way out with a dodgy motor or something, but it has stopped. A bit of a nudge, hopefully it'll run and survive the review. There's the GBL. Might need to speed this up actually, it's a bit painful. But as you can see, the Stove Rs are staying on the track. Yeah, let's go speed that Ivet up, because that's died again. Let's give it another nudge. Yeah, that's not very happy. I think that motor might be on the way out. Full speed on the controller, and as you can see, the motor has burnt out. That is really foul smelling smoke actually, that really unpleasant. But there's plenty of it coming, so I thought I'd get it on video. The Ivet 4 has died. It is a sad, sad day. Was it particularly hot? No, not really. Not really hot, no. Anyway, that is, I think that's well and truly dead. So, right, let me find another loco to put on. Right, after that catastrophe, I've now replaced the Ivet 4 with my Ivet 2. Also by Bachmann, so we shall see how long this one takes to burn out. So, let's send her on her way. No, we won't send her on her way because the hooks with full brake has disappeared. Right, we shall now send her on her way. 50% speed, she seems a bit more lively. Yeah, and that hooks with brakes come off. Let me just take that off because I think that's going to cause us a few problems, to be honest. Right, so I've now reattached the hooks with brake that's been causing us some problems. So let's set this Ivet 2 off around the layout. As you can see, that looks much chirpier than the Ivet 4 did. Right, so here we are, ready for the points test. I've coupled the Ivet 2 to the other end of the train, and it's pushing them across this set of nightmare points. So we shall see how they do. Rather annoyingly, my sidings are now full with modern image stock, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but as you can see, they seem to have gone across those points nicely, so we'll bring them forwards. Ah, that didn't look very good. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that centre bogey on the LMS one, as you can see, has in fact derailed. It hasn't derailed on the BR one, which is interesting, but I shall pop this back on. I'll do my best to pop this back on. It's an absolute nightmare of a design. So apologies about that rubbish film. I've just realised how bad that was. So apologies about that. But we are out, and as you can see, after me re-railing it, that went all right. So what I'm going to do, is we'll pop it back across and make sure all these points are set, which they are, and we shall run them across again in the train, just see if it derails again, or whether it would happen to be a one-off. But I suspect it's down to the rubbish design of the... BR one's off now. LMS one's on, but the BR's sort of bogies at each end, and in fact even the centre axle on that one are off. So yeah, it's not the best design of a three-wheeled wagon you're ever going to see. I think Hornby have got us covered on that. Right, that, I think, move those out of the way, is back on. So, and in fact their kinematic couplings aren't great either. Oh, we're off again. Yeah, this is not the best design of six-wheeled chassis you're ever going to see. As I said, I think Hornby have us covered on that. I mean, Hornby have been doing it correctly for years. They did their Palethorpe's van from like the 70s or 80s. That was a six-wheel thing and it worked fine. Anyway, back. A couple to the BYA rake, which is always... No, we haven't. Good. That's what we had then. We're coming back, and the LMS one's off again. Centre axle. As you can see, now just for the lols, I'm just going to run them forward, see what happens, see if it rights itself. It did! Don't know if that came across on camera, but it is now fully re-railed. Either that or it wasn't derailed in the first place. So yeah, a bit temperamental on point I think, but what I'm going to do is just take these other wagons off, uncouple them from here. Right, we are fully railed up, good, and we shall sort of run them backwards across the points. And as you can see, that might have just been down to me, but they're not great. Yeah, not great, and they're also quite stiff on the points as well. So that's fine. Yeah, these are quite detailed wagons, and you don't really want to be chucking them around if you can avoid it. Yeah, I absolutely hate this design. This is one of the worst designs of six-wheel chassis I've ever seen, and it is absolutely dreadful. Because what happens is when you've got your wagon load on this centre axle, is there's a lot of resistance because it's sort of pushing down on a very small contact area on the axle. And so there's a lot of resistance there, and yeah, it's not great, so it just sort of reduces how quickly and how far it can move. But that one's again just derailed on there. Yeah, they're not great, I have to say, performance wise, over points at least, they're not particularly good. Around my third radius curves, they're fine, but I'm just going to pause this here real quick. Just thought I'd say that since filming this review, both coaches have now started to derail consistently on third and second radius curves. So just a bit of a buyer beware there. On my second radius point and shunting yard, not great. Now when I get my track for my new layout I'm building done, I'll be able to give them a proper test on there, but even on this they don't particularly want to rail. And I do think that it is the horrible chassis design that is to blame for that. Yeah, not particularly impressed with those, but at the same time they are very nicely detailed, and as I said at the start, I think a lot of people, including Dapol, sorry, in this case, have been prioritising form over function. Anyway, now it's time for some ratings, I think. So some overall ratings for the Dapol Stove R then. So for detail, I've rated this 4.5 out of 5. It is pretty good, to be honest. It's nice, fine, and there's lots of separately fitted details around, and what is there is pretty good. However, it does have the moulded handles around the doors, and there are some quite big gaps, as you can see, around the ducats. Further to this, the bogie detail is pretty coarse. For performance, I've given this 3 out of 5, and that is for the pure reason it derails, and it's also pretty stiff to roll. As you can see, these are pretty stiff. Yeah, that's not a particularly good feature in these. As you saw before, it does derail all the time over the points, and it's pretty unpredictable and quite a nightmare, to be honest. For quality, I've rated this 3. It's not too bad, and there's no glue around all the separately fitted parts, for example, but that horrible bogie design, it's just rubbish, in my opinion. They could have come up with a much better solution. You know, even leaving a blind axle in the middle so it doesn't derail is a much better solution, in my opinion. It's just not all that good, particularly with these sort of, you know, dodgy couplings here, as you can see, that get stuck and droop down. They're not particularly good quality, in my opinion. So for value, I've rated this 3. It is very, very detailed, and you can pick these up for around £45 to £50 online. Yes, I get an exclusive commission by Hornby magazine, but think of what else you could buy for £40. You know, Dapol's much more detailed JNA Falcon wagons for network rail. They come in at about £30, you know, and the HIAs are much less than that. Yeah, it's just not an awful lot of wagon for your money. For the price I paid though, I'm pretty pleased with these. And even if they aren't the best wagons in my collection, they're still a really nice addition. So overall, they come out with 6.75 out of 10, which, as I said before, isn't the best and isn't the worst. Would I recommend these to you though? If you can find them for about £25 or under, that is a really good price. If you can find them about 25 to 30 and you want one, go for it. But anything above £30, not really. They're just not all that good over points, and that's the main problem. If you've got large radius points, then I'm sure these won't be too much of a problem. However, on Hornby's set track points or second radius points like I'm using here, I just wouldn't recommend them, to be honest. They'll be alright, I suppose, if they're sat in a fixed rake of coaches, but yeah, if they're not going to be and they're going to be doing lots of shunting and stuff, then not worth it. So I hope this review's been useful. As always, if you have enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, share and subscribe, and I'll see you pretty soon with some more content. Until then, bye for now. Another point to note, which I've just noticed while filming some extra shots, is down to their three-wheeled and rubbish design. If you get these when they're going over a slight bump, such as here, you get them coming along, these two rear wheels lift the front ones off the ground. As you can see, there's nothing there. And that isn't down to me putting too much weight on them, that's just down to a slight bump in the track. And of course, those two rear ones lift the front wheel off. And as it comes down the other side, sort of goes off at a stupid angle and derails and bounces along. So yeah, really not too impressed with the performance of these, but yeah, making it an absolute nightmare to run. But if you've got absolutely perfect track, I'm sure it won't be too much of a problem. But yeah, just not particularly impressed with that, and I'm afraid I couldn't put that into my rankings, but if I had the power to go back in time, then I would, and I would include it. But yeah, it's just something else to take note of.